This woman of faith has been my anchor to help me weather any storm. Such impeccable faith this woman has, to know God has a greater plan. I am blessed to have a mother as this. I'm only half the woman she is. She taught me to trust Him through all things. My mother taught me the way. I walk in her shadow, teaching my own sons what it means to trust God alone. I walk in her shadow through valleys high and low. This woman showed me the way to go. I am blessed to have a mother as this. I'm only half the woman she is. She taught me to trust Him through all things. My mother taught me the way. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Proverbs 22:6. I am indebted to this woman of faith who stood by me along the way. How best to show my love for her. I'm so blessed to be her daughter. I am blessed to have a mother as this. I'm only half the woman she is. She taught me to trust Him through all things. My mother taught me the way. I am blessed to have a mother as this. I'm only half the woman she is. She taught me to trust Him through all things. My mother taught me the way. My mother taught me the way. Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for His name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For Thou art with me. Thy rod and Thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. My mom went to be with Jesus about 11:50 a.m. this morning, my time. I'm on Pacific Standard Time. And I knew that this was coming. I had the past 2 days has been kind of hard for me emotionally. I've been all over the place in my emotions. you know, trying not to say that I'm angry with God. My anger is that I don't understand, obviously. But I still continued to trust Him. And yes, every night I would pray over my mom and the weapons of cancer that formed against her. But we know that Yahweh sees all and He knows all. And she's no longer suffering. She's no longer in pain. And so this morning, I was working on a teaching, and I had just gotten my, are you a Martha or a Mary video done, and that was critical for me to do that, because I could see myself as a Martha, just in the cares of this world, just weighing me down. The cares of everything that I've had to take care of with my mom for the past 3 months, just absolutely weighing me down. And while, yes, it's sad because she is gone now. She's gone on to be with the Lord. First and foremost, she is walking with Jesus Christ, but she's reunited with her son that she lost almost 34 years ago. Or 33 years ago. After so many years, you kind of lose count of how many years it's been. And so when they called, at first, because I recognized the number, I wasn't automatically having like this alarm, oh, this is it. Okay, and so they told me, that my mom expired at about, let's see, I guess it was 11:50. And I knew it was coming, so it wasn't like a big shock to me. But I kind of lost it a little bit. And I said, how come nobody didn't call me? I gave specific instructions with the nursing staff that I was to be called so that I could be with her. And obviously, they understand, these emotional roller coasters during times like these. And they explained that, they had went in at, I guess it was 10:30 to check on her. And, she was awake, but she wasn't able to be, real responsive, like to their questions. They knew that she was comfortable. She wasn't in any pain or anything like that. There wasn't an indication that she was, nearing the end, that she'd have like an hour and 20 minutes left to live, or I would have been called, absolutely. So they go in to check on her, and she's just asleep. She went peacefully in her sleep. And so they called me, and I said that I wanted to come and say my goodbyes to her. And I had to, only one of my kids was here. Jordan was here, and he knew what had happened, and I had to call Jonathan, and I felt so bad for him because, he was spending the night at his friend's house, and he just broke down and just started crying and crying, and I've been trying to help prepare them for a couple of weeks now. And we all went to see, except my oldest son. My oldest son saw her when we had our Outback Steakhouse night. But we just saw her on Wednesday, and it was a good visit, even though I could see the decline. it was a good visit. She was smiling at them, and she was going like this with them, you know. That's something that they always did with her. And, you know, we had just had Jonathan's graduation from 8th grade the night before. And so we showed her the picture of that and the award. And I have instructions with, you know, some of her money that's left, that I am to take him shopping for clothes for a birthday from Grammy. And so I will absolutely do that with my son. In fact, I was going to try to do that with him this afternoon, and then bring up to show her what we got that was going to be from her. But God took her home. And so I feel, it's like, I guess it's hard to explain. I mean, yes, I cried, obviously. It's like, I'm finally at the place, you know, when I need to cry and I feel like I need to cry, I can cry. You know, so I've cried my tears already. And, you know, when we got there, you know, it looked like she was sleeping. And so I talked to her for a few minutes. And I kissed her forehead. And I just told her that she's home. That she's never going to suffer again. And that she's with her son. She's with Max. And then before we left, I told her that I'd see her on the other side soon. And, you know, the hospice nurse that came, it was a different one. It was an on-call. You know, she said, well, you don't want to make it too soon. You know, and I laughed at that. And it's like, no, not too soon. But I know I will see my mother again. Because my mom was a godly woman. She wasn't a perfect woman. She wasn't a perfect mother. No, she wasn't. But she was perfect for me. She really, really was. She was who God chose to be my mother, to bring me into this world. And she trained me up in the ways of the Lord. And I made the choice of my own that I would not depart from it. So there's still things that need to be taken care of, obviously, with death certificates and, you know, closing out bank accounts and getting, you know, her life insurance policy. And, you know, the cremation, we already paid for that in advance, so that's all taken care of. They were coming, you know, within an hour after we got there, and I was able to, you know, pack up all of her belongings that were in the room. The only thing that I feel bad about is one of the places that I get my supplies from. My mom used to always go get the supplies for me, and I went in yesterday and talked to the manager, and they just loved my mom so much, and it was hard for her, for the manager. She's like, oh, I can't talk about this, it makes me want to cry. Flowers just got delivered to my mom, but she was already gone, and so I have to call them and thank them for the flowers, but let them know that she passed away already. But we will bring the flowers home to our house and take very good care of them. So I have to go back down to the nursing home a little bit later this afternoon and take care of that. So yeah, it's just one of those things, you know. We knew it was coming, we just didn't know when. And so I feel such a burden lifted off of me, because the stress of not knowing when was just almost getting to be too much for me. So I'm glad that God took her in her sleep. You know, she just, I suppose, you know, her heart just stopped and she just went in her sleep. but she didn't suffer. You know, the only suffering she had during this whole time was dealing with, you know, constipation and, you know, the pain of the pancreatic cancer. But they had really good comfort meds for her for that. And the nurses, you know, told me, you know, that she was such a sweet lady because, you know, she never complained. You know, and she was always so quiet, you know, and she was a good patient, you know, so she will be missed. She will be loved for eternity. I know that. So I'm going to change the song as far as that intro picture that I wrote for her, I Am Blessed, the song for my mother. You know, she got to see that song at her Celebration of Life party. But I am going to change that to reflect when she went home to Jesus. And we will be having a memorial service for her. I think we'll probably plan it for when Jordan comes out for his second visit, because he's here for 3.5 weeks. Then he goes home for a couple of weeks, and then he comes back out here for 3.5 weeks. So when he comes back out here for the second 3.5 weeks, then we will have the memorial service. That gives me plenty of time. I'll be calling the pastor to, you know, go over those arrangements, because I don't want to have to do the, you know, planning everything with the memorial service. I don't want that responsibility. You know, I'll have some things that I want to say about my mom. I already did the Celebration of Life party for her. I want to let the pastor handle it because that's what he's there for. So, I'll let everybody know when that will be. And we're going to videotape it for my aunt and uncle and all of my family, you know, that's back in Kansas and Nebraska. Thank you, everyone, for all your prayers, your love, and your support. And I don't want anybody worrying about me, because I am okay. Please know I'm okay. Doesn't mean that I won't have some rough days ahead. You know, when it seems like it's just second nature to call Mom up on the phone, I'll be reminded she's not here anymore. But I am doing okay. So don't worry about me. Just put me in God's hands and know that God is taking care of me and my entire family. So I'll go ahead and I'll close out with the updated song, I Am Blessed, that will show, you know, the years of her life. And I'm so very, very blessed to have had her as a mother. I couldn't have asked for a better mom, and she will be greatly, greatly missed. Oh, you know, and I forgot something. It's been kind of a whirlwind the past couple of hours. I decided to go ahead and, which you've already seen by now, to redo my video of the song that I wrote for her, to include a couple of pictures from her Celebration of Life party, but also to put, you know, the date of her birth and the date of her death. But I forgot to mention that it was my husband who took me, and I invited my dad to come too, so that he could say goodbye to her. And I felt a little bit bad, and I'll have to, you know, apologize to my dad. I didn't mean to, you know, kind of, you know, lose my temper with him a little bit this morning, you know, because he hasn't understood why we haven't allowed him to go see her. And it's because we were trying to respect her wishes. I mean, they've been divorced more years than they were married, and they were married for 18 years. But out of respect to my dad, because my dad loved her his entire life. For him, he's just lost his wife. And I absolutely understand that. And I'm so thankful that I still have my dad. And, you know, God really turned my dad around, because I could have lost my dad at the end of last year. I was preparing that I was going to lose my dad. That's why I had, you know, his celebration of life party. And he just got home from the nursing home February 28th. And then March 13th, we find out about my mom. So, you know, she dies like 2.5 days shy of it being exactly 3 months since we found out that she had cancer. But so I kind of got upset with my dad this morning, because he's like, why do you guys get to go and I can't? And I just kind of lost it, because, you know, I'm feeling, you know, all this emotional grief inside. And I just told him, I said, because Dad, we're her children. And I said, you know, you just need to understand that, you know, you guys are divorced. And, you know, and then my sister came out and talked with him and kind of helped, you know, smooth that over a little bit. And, but then when I got the call, I just felt, you know what? He needs to be able to say goodbye to her. So I said, Dad, do you want to come with us to say goodbye to Mom? And he did. He needed to do his breathing treatment, and I had to call her brother and talk to her, you know, I didn't talk to him, I talked to his wife, my aunt. And, you know, Wednesday she had a really bad hallucination. She thought that her brother, Tom, had called her, that he'd been in an accident, and he was, you know, trying to walk home to St. Francis, and for her to call his wife. And she was really worried. And I tried to say, you know, well, Mom, I'm sure everything's okay. But because I didn't want her to worry, I said, I'll call Tom and Lois. And we'll just make sure that Tom's okay. Because I said, you know, they would call me if something happened, because they know you're in a nursing home and that you can't make phone calls. So I couldn't get a hold of my aunt and uncle. I left a couple of messages, but then I had my cousin's phone number. And I called my cousin. And she assured me, you know, yeah, Dad's okay. He's just, you know, out baling hay like he always does. And so I called my mom back and told her. But then you know, both me and my cousin both said, you know, it would be good if, you know, Tom could call and tell her himself that, you know, that he's okay. Well, Tom couldn't call. It was too hard on him. So Lois called her when they got back and got the message. And, you know, while my dad was doing his breathing treatment, I went ahead and I called them and told them, you know, that she passed away. And, you know, we talked about, you know, what had happened on Wednesday. And I double checked to make sure that, you know, she did call, and she said yes. And she said, but, you know, Wendy, I just knew that would be the last time I would talk with Irene. And so it's hard for them, because her brother is 5 years younger than her. So he's, you know, either just turned 71 or is going to be turning 71, because my mom would have been 76 come this December 9th. So it was very important for me to allow my dad to go and say goodbye to his wife, because he's loved her his entire life. And I wanted to be able to give that to my dad. And so my husband and me and my dad, we went to say goodbye to her. And all three of us said, you know, it looks like she's just sleeping. You know, and that was such a blessing, because it's like I can remember walking up to the door. I just prayed and I said, God, you're going to have to help me through this, because This is the first time I've ever seen anybody die, where there's no life in their body. I've never seen anybody die before. I didn't know what that would look like. And she would always have so much trouble getting too hot. Bless her heart, and we'd go in and she had a little, their room, because, she had a roommate. But she was next to the window where, like, the window air conditioning and heater was. And, a lot of times it was on, and I'd have to turn it off because, it would just be blasting out cold. And so they did try to keep her from getting, too hot and everything. And, the only thing I noticed with her is that, her forehead was really cool. She didn't feel, like ice cold, or anything like that. But she was cool. And I almost forgot to get her watch and her special mother's ring that we had made for her years and years ago. It's like on one side, it was her 3 children, my brother, my sister, and me. And then on the other side was the birthstones for her 3 grandsons. So just wanted to, give that update, just that we let my dad come and say goodbye to her. So thank you again for everyone that has continued to keep our family in prayer. We ask that you continue to keep us in prayer, because we've still got a little bit of a rough road ahead of us. So, but what a reunion it will be when my time comes to go home. I'll be with her again. I'll be with my brother. This life is just fleeting. So I'll go ahead and close out. All right, everyone. Shalom.